bright.
It is bright. And we're back. Rachel, the biggest news in boxing, I think, over the last week is that the heavyweight title unification bout we've all been looking forward to, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, is not going to happen this year. Tell me how you feel about that.
I feel indifferent.
Interesting. And why do you feel indifferent?
Because as a boxing fan, I feel like if I hear when a fight happens, I'm like, oh, okay. If I hear a fight like falls apart, I'm like, oh, okay. And I just take it as it comes because I feel like I hear that back and forth a lot. So I am
Conditioned?
Yes, to like no longer care. I just, when fights fall in my lap, they fall in my lap, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good perspective to have as a fight fan, especially because of the way boxing negotiations work. Because they happen between rival promoters, as is often the case, especially big fights. What you have then are people who are paid good money to drive certain media narratives, right? They talk to certain media people and tell them their side of the story. It's not wrong to do this. They should do this. They're telling their side of the story, why the fight didn't happen. It's always the other guy's fault. So that's what we got with Wilder and Joshua's camps. The pulse of the boxing world seems to side with Deontay Wilder. It's been a strange shift. People used to think that he was a protected fighter, but ever since he defeated Luis Ortiz in that huge fight against a really good fighter, Luis Ortiz, people have kind of shifted back now to saying, like, this guy seems, this older fighter, he's older than Joshua, he's 31 years old, and he really seems to want to fight. I mean, I think obviously both fighters want to fight. I don't know, like, I'm disappointed that the fight isn't going to happen in 2018. It's the biggest fight in boxing to me because it's a heavyweight unification fight for all the belts. It'd be the first unified, undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis in 1999 or 2000. And that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And it actually would be the first time that a heavyweight champion would be undisputed with all four of the alphabet belts that exist today. Lewis didn't have the WBO belt because the WBO came around a little late. But, so it's a really interesting, just from a fight, I want to see the fight, and also from a historical standpoint, I want to see the fight. I'm disappointed in not seeing the fight. I wish that, the promoters would make the best fights available. However, I also feel that Eddie Hearn in particular, who's Joshua's promoter, has a fiduciary duty to his fighter. And his fighter, while probably more accomplished than Wilder, is younger, I think is still growing as a champion. And I don't know, if I have a stake, let's say that all of our money, instead of being in our house, is in Anthony Joshua, and we get money from his fights, right? I'm not sure that I do anything different in that I'm, kind of trying to make the Wilder fight, but also waiting for other guys to pop up, like Alexander Povetkin.
There's other fights to be had definitely for Joshua.
And for Joshua, the Povetkin fight is less risk.
Oh, yeah.
For a lot of money because he sells out those stadiums over there. He's a huge draw. And it allows Joshua and his team and all the people and the promoter an opportunity to make a lot of money before taking the risk that is Deontay Wilder. Because Deontay Wilder is, as long as Tyson Fury is not back to his truest form, the most risky fight for Joshua.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. So it's one of those hard things where as a fight fan you really want a fight to happen, but you can also understand why maybe one side or both sides might want it to wait. It's one of the unique things that happens in boxing. So this doesn't really happen in other sports where you have a season and you play to a championship every season.
Yeah.
You don't have any control. The Super Bowl is going to happen every year.
Right.
The NBA Finals are going to happen every year. You don't get to say, oh, I don't want to do that in 2018. Let's wait a little while. because, maybe this team is really good in 2018, but I think in 2019 their veterans aren't going to be as good. So then we'll play them then. So it's just a unique thing that happens in boxing where you get all these negotiations, and so you can have fights delayed. And I am also conditioned as a fight fan, as a young fight fan, I guess, if you want to say, with Pacquiao Mayweather. I'm always living in fear that we never are going to get the fights that we want with fighters in their prime, like when the fight should happen.
Because we didn't get Pacquiao and Mayweather in their primes.
No.
And so your fear is well-founded in that. Are we going to see a prime version of Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder? They're both clearly at their best right now. But that can change in a minute, right?
Yeah.
Like one punch, especially as a heavyweight, because heavyweight fights are so dangerous. So just to kind of get your, I guess, opinion, how excited are you for the idea of that fight? Because from my perspective, this is something that we haven't had. This level of heavyweight fight hasn't been around since the days of Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. Excellent heavyweights who are world champion material and would probably be world champions one way or the other in any era that can fight each other.
Yeah.
How excited are you, just at the idea of the fight?
I would say I'm reasonably excited. So I feel like you bring in, I feel like, a lot more thought into why you're excited about the fight. I'm excited because I see these as two heavyweights that are differently very good at what they do.
Yeah.
Because they're very different fighters. And I also like that Wilder is from the U.S. and Joshua's
from the UK.
Yeah, and so you have, it's a global event.
Yeah.
So if you say the top two heavyweights just happen to both be Americans, I just feel like it wouldn't be as global and maybe not as big of a thing. So I do think that this is a really big fight, and that's why I'm concerned that I may not get to see it when it should happen.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're excited for the fight. It sounds like you are conditioned as a boxing fan to expect the worst, which is reasonable. And honestly, that's probably the best way to go through life watching boxing. I'm really excited for the fight. I really hope it happens. Let's get those guys inking the deal, hurry up and ink it, and let's do it, and let's see it, and we want to see the fight.